So Bitcoin had a massive sell-off. It dropped to $30,000, which is more than a 50% drop. And the level of fear is insane at this point in time. A lot of people are wondering, is the bull run over? Is this it? Are we done? Are we going back into a 3-year bear market? So in this video, we are going to look at the events that happened, the rumors that are going around about this being a manipulated, coordinated dump, and whether or not we are still in a bull run and what the next few months and the rest of this year could potentially look like. What's up guys, Dirk here from IntelligentCryptocurrency.com. If you are new to the channel, click the subscribe button, smash that notification bell so you do get updates whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to get on my email list so I can notify you via email every time I upload a new video or there's some important update, first link in the description below. Sign up on that page, enter your email, and then you will get on my email list and I can send you an alert every single time I upload a new video. Alright, so crazy stuff in Bitcoin where it had this huge flash crash, and we'll go into all the details, but what I want to start out with is rumors that have been floating around the last couple days, actually since it happened, and specifically a post on a message board called 4chan where there was discussions of this kind of stuff happening before it actually happened, saying it was a big coordinated event. Now whether or not that's true, I have no idea. It's all just speculation at this point, and ultimately in the long run it doesn't really matter, but it is pretty interesting anyway. So basically this post said, for those of you that are not too busy LARPing paying attention, there will be another announcement from China. Picture is semi-related, but can't tell you what firm I work for, but it's massive. The purpose of today's press release, alongside the FUD, so basically of China banning BTC, is to get Bitcoin as low as it can before 7 a.m. UTC. There will be a coordinated sell-off to drop the prices below a certain threshold and liquidate a certain stakeholder. Can't say who it is. Once liquidated, the plan is then to buy up all the reserves, essentially leave them bankrupted. If you guys want to get rich, grab some coffee, watch for the big dip. Once it happens, things are going to get really green really fast. We project 70k. So again, this is the link to the 4chan. I'll add it in the description below so you can check it out for yourself. But again, it's basically saying how many big firms are liquidated in the process. It's going to be big and fast. 35k limit order if you want to be safe, but it can go as low as 31. So basically they're just speculating, saying, you know, this is going to happen. It's going to drop 29 to 31k. Who knows what's really behind this or whether or not. And like I said, it doesn't really matter because it's happened. You have to understand, in this space, in Bitcoin, in cryptocurrencies, because it's still such a small market and largely unregulated market, this kind of stuff happens, okay? Manipulation is there. There's coordination, there's whales, there's groups, there's organizations, who knows, right, who have large amounts of cryptocurrency. Sometimes they can come together and join forces. And because the market is small, right, relative size in market cap, coordinated sell-offs of large amounts at strategic points, you know, going by the charts, looking at supports and resistances, especially knowing where a lot of these players have their leverage positions, their liquidation levels, all that kind of stuff. You know, this dump could really have been some sort of coordinated sell-off, but in the large picture of things, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter too much when Bitcoin drops 40, 50, 60%. Even if it is a short-term win for some players and a big loss for other players, in the long run, that is what we're focused on. The larger bull run, the larger cycle, the larger life cycle and future potential of cryptocurrencies and digital assets. So let us have a look at the charts here also to see why it is actually not as scary. And obviously it was a huge drop, but keep in mind guys, we were in September, so basically 6 months ago, 7 months ago, we were still at $10,000 for Bitcoin. We are right now at $40,000 for a Bitcoin. We're still up 4x. And sure, it went from 10 to 65 and it dropped back down to 30, basically just a little bit more than 50%. But in the grand scheme of things, that is completely normal for any move. We had a huge move with volatility to the upside, and now we've had a pullback and a correction back down to the mean. And whether that's manipulation, external events, Elon Musk tweeting about Bitcoin and then fudding about Bitcoin, whatever the case is, basically this is part of a normal market cycle. And because cryptocurrency is still a small and volatile asset class, the fluctuations like this are pretty crazy. So we get these insane gain potentials to the upside, but that means there's enormous volatility to the downside when the corrections occur. We're seeing 40, 50, 60% corrections, which of course is really scary if you have a lot invested. That is why with crypto, why I'm always saying you should never invest more than you can afford to lose. It's why experts are saying don't put more than 10% of your net worth into crypto, because that way when you get a 50 or 60% drawdown, while it is obviously a large amount, if you're only in with 10% or less of your net worth, you have a 5 or 6% drawdown overall of your net worth. And while that definitely isn't pleasant, it's also not the end of the world. It shouldn't be affecting anything, your business, your income, your retirement plans, all that kind of stuff. You should be more than fine if you manage your risk accordingly. And that is what you have to expect going into crypto. You have to expect that at any point, even when you buy, the next day it could drop by 50%, but 5 or 6 months later it could be up by 10x or 20x. That is the game you play. It is an asymmetric bet. So what you put in, you have to see as risk to the downside. If you put in $1,000, you have to be prepared to lose $1,000. If you put in 10K, 100K, whatever it is, if you put that in, you have to be prepared to lose it, because the potential upside is 10x, 20x, 50x, 100x, right? So it's an asymmetric bet. And if you don't play around with leverage, which I always say, don't use leverage in crypto because it's already so volatile. That way, sure, the market drops and your drawdown and your paper losses or your paper value gets cut in half or 60% or 70%. But in the long term, you don't get liquidated. You still have your Bitcoins or your coins, especially if you keep them safe on a hardware wallet, not on exchanges or anything like that. And then in the long term, there's a good chance that you will come out ahead. Like looking at the previous bull market in 2017, even if you had bought the very, very top of Bitcoin at $20,000, you would have wrote it down by 84% drawdown to $3,000, and then it would have gone up to $65,000. Even right now, after this crash at 40,000, you would still be up 2x, even if you bought the very top in 2017, but only if you actually had bought Bitcoin and held it. No leverage, no liquidation potential, store them, keep them safe, and a few years later, the price goes up. Now, obviously, there's no guarantees, but that's basically how you need to look at this market. So if you just go into crypto without knowing what you're doing, you put in way too much, you start playing around with leverage, you're just going to lose your shirt. Okay, that's how it works. So be careful, heed these warnings. I've been doing this since 2017 in the crypto market. Basically every day following this market, I've seen the boom, the bust, the crashes, the wild upsides. And what I'm sharing with you here is just purely my personal experience from having been in this market. Not trying to sugarcoat it, not trying to sell you any dreams. This is the reality of it. But if you play the game and you play it wisely, and you manage your risk, then the potential upside is very, very, very lucrative. So let's look at the chart. So what's interesting to note also, and this is the entire sell-off event, if you put this Fibonacci extensions, Fibonacci retracement on here, from pretty much the point where we started this giant rally, which was roughly around $8,500 back around last year, you can see this level is pretty important. You put it right to the top around 65K. This whole sell-off went exactly to the 61.8 30K level, which is technically just a very normal retracement level for any types of moves, the 61.8%. And you can see that coincides also with where the support was the first time. So after we went to 42K, we dropped back, and you can see how many times it was tested there, and now we dropped back to then. Also, what's interesting to see is that we did drop back to the 200 SMA, the simple moving average on daily, and sure, we went below it, we shot below it. Right now we're sitting right on it, right? So it always happens like this with market movements. You deviate from the mean, from the norm, 1 or 2 deviations from it, and then you pull back to it, and then you go down below it, and then you pull back to it. It always happens like this. So far, you know, we had this incredible run over the last 6-7 months. We went to 65K, and now we've had a pullback to the mean. And sure, all this FUD is coming out. It always happens like this. You know, you have China banning Bitcoin. You have Elon Musk saying Bitcoin is bad for the environment after he bought like $1.5 billion worth of it. How about saying it then when you bought it, right? Not after when you're up. And then all these coordinated events, you know, there was FUD about Binance being under investigation, and then this and then that. It always happens and always simultaneously, and then you get these sell-offs. But you can see either way, this was due for a correction at some point. I actually made a video about this. Again, I will link to this up here. On April 17th, I said there's possibility for a crash in May, and that we are following the 2017 style scenario, the cycle, which would be a local top around April or May with a large sell-off followed by a few months of sideways action, followed by a blow of top towards the end of the year and complete new highs. And I do think that is what we're on track to do. So we are about 12 months into the cycle right now, which was the length for the 2013 cycle, but the 2013 cycle peaked at the end of the year, right? Since it's a 4-year cycle, we had the 2013 cycle end at late November 2013. 2017 cycle peaked in December 2017. So if it's a 4-year cycle, we should be looking at November, December this year, or potentially even January 2022 for the end of the cycle if that 4-year cycle repeats, meaning that it would be too early now to have a cycle top in the end of the bull run. But at the same time, we had such a big run and so much euphoria, and there were so much shit coins and Doge and meme coins and everything was going crazy, that this flush out was needed to be able to continue the run till the end of the year. There wasn't really a likelihood of us being able to continue at the same pace with that same euphoria for another 6 months without some sort of major flush out. We've had a big flush out, and this, in my opinion, really increases the chance that we are going to continue higher with this bull run until the end of the year. But we could see a few months of sideways boring action. We could retest the lows. Maybe we could even sweep below the lows. Who knows? Maybe we could go to 25K on Bitcoin. It is possible. But I think that this really increases the chance of us continuing much, much higher towards the end of the year. So let's look at what really happened with the sell-off. You can see over here 1.1 million noobs panic sell. So research shows that 1.1 million addresses belonging to new users have sold their coins during this correction. Bitcoin holders are doing better. So that is completely true. I've also seen it from my own experience. There's people who come in here, you know, they've bought in the last couple days, the last couple weeks, and they're thinking, hey, it's going to go up forever. They don't understand really what's happening. They don't understand the crypto markets. They just understand it's going up. They want a piece of the action. So they don't research, they don't educate, they don't take the time to understand what's happening. They buy in, the price drops 30, 40, 50%. They see their portfolio being dropped by 30, 40, 50%. They panic sell, they take a huge loss, and they get out of the market. That's what happens every single cycle because they don't understand the cycles and the volatility of Bitcoin. So if you don't do that, and if you don't understand what's happening, and you come in here, you put in your money, it drops 50%, you panic sold, you've just given your money away for free. You know, like that's the point of this. This market can and will drop 50%. And it's not the first time it's happened. It will continue to happen. So you have to expect this so that you're not going to just, you know, get your portfolio cut in half, take a loss, step away from it, be burned, and then wait for crypto to go back up again and do the same thing like 5 months later. You know, I'm pretty sure that a lot of these people who panic sold, took out half their losses, they're going to be done with crypto until it starts going to new highs, and they're going to be buying it at 80,000, 100,000, 150,000 and do the exact same thing. You know, they buy in, FOMO buy-in, it drops 30, 40, 50%, they panic sell over and over and over again. This is why most people lose money with investing, not just in crypto, but also in stock markets and other things, because they don't understand the market cycles and they don't understand how to properly invest in them. So what happened also, this was pretty significant. You can see the losses of this sell-off were pretty unprecedented for Bitcoin. It's only happened a few other times. Here at the start of the bear market in February and March 2018, the capitulation of November 2018, and obviously the March 2020 crisis over there. And this basically parallels this. And this is the short-term holders. So what the article just said, it's the noobs coming in, they're buying, the market drops 30, 40, 50%, they panic sell, and they're done. And what is also important to see is that these previous times were actually pretty much significant bottoms before rallies followed, right? This was the very bottom of the entire crypto bear market. This was the bottom before the enormous bull run. And even in 2018, even though it was the start of the bear market, that was a capitulation before we saw some significant return to the upside also. So you have to stay focused on the larger picture, okay? And if you look at this, when in doubt, zoom out. Look at the larger picture. 10 years ago, Bitcoin was $6. Look how this is just trending up. And even though there's short-term fluctuation in months, sometimes in years, in the longer term, Bitcoin has been in a bull market since it started. Prices have only gone higher and higher and higher every single cycle. And sure, there's fluctuations. We get booms, we get busts, but the trend in the long term is up still to this day. You can see over here the Bitcoin price with 200-day moving average, and you can see 2012 to 2017 versus 2016 to 2021. So you can see how this cycle is modeling the previous one perfectly, and you can see, yes, there's dips along the way, but so far we're still perfectly on track. Zoom out, look at the bigger picture. You can see over here too Bitcoin's price history on a log scale. These are the different halvings, right? So it went from 50 to 25 to 12.5 to 6.25, and you can see we're still perfectly on track here. If you look at Bitcoin yearly candles, you can see what's been happening. 1, 2, 3 big candles, one red one. 1, 2, 3 big candles, one red one. 1, 2, 3. And you can see we are still not even halfway through the year, and the third candle tends to be the biggest one. It's the last year of the 4-year cycle. So it's a huge candle, So we still have more than 6 months left of this year for this green candle to turn into a big green candle, just like it has in the previous 2 cycles. Then again, looking at the Bitcoin cycle peak index, 2013 cycle in blue, 2017 cycle in red, we are in a white right now, and we are nowhere near the cycle peak multiples of the previous cycles. You can see over here we are at 2.1x. That was 39, that was 17, and sure, there are probably diminishing returns, so each cycle gets a little bit less because the market cap gets bigger, but we are still nowhere close to this kind of market cap, even if it were to halve, right? Let's just say, okay, that's roughly half, a little bit less, but let's just say half for convenience sake. Then we are still looking at needing at least an 8x, and we're at 2.1x, which means we'd need another 4x from here to be able to reach half of the previous cycle returns. Another 4x from these levels, 4 times 40 is $160,000 on the low end, is still completely a possibility. Then if we look at this, the Bitcoin cycle bottom index, right? Previous cycle, 2013, 2017, you can see where they peaked, both in days and in a multiple, and you can see over here. So in days, we are exceeding the 2013 cycle, but not the 2017 cycle. And in terms of a multiple over here, you can see we're still nowhere near the previous 2. Same thing here, Bitcoin halving index. Blue is a 2013 cycle, red is a 2017 cycle, white is where we are right now. And you can see right at this time in the 2017 cycle, the red one over here, we also had a pretty decent sell-off in percentage terms. You can see there's nothing new here. We're right in the middle of these previous 2 cycles. We've had this consolidation, we've had this kind of sell-off now at the exact same time that it kind of happened in the last cycle too. And look what happened after that sell-off completed and how much further we went to the upside. Look here how much further we went to the upside. So based on those previous cycles, if that repeats in any sort of similar way, then we still have a lot of potential upside to go, both in time and price for this cycle. But obviously it's all about patience and time. We still have 6 months to go until the end of the year. Also, it's important to keep in mind that when these dips happen, yes, a lot of the newbies, a lot of the short-term holders, a lot of the get-rich-quick kind of mentality people, they got shaken out. They panic sold, they took their losses. But the people who understand this, who have the long-term vision, who understand that investing is a game of patience and a long-term vision, they bought the dip. Look at this. So the mysterious Bitcoin whale who sold 3,000 Bitcoins at 58,000, bought back 3,500 and 21 Bitcoins in the last 3 days. So this person, this is smart money. They sold 3,000 Bitcoins. They increased their Bitcoin holdings by almost 20% by being patient. They sold near the top. They bought the bottom, the exact thing that people should be doing, but they do the opposite of. Most people are buying 58K and selling near the 30,000 to the 35,000. So keep in mind, always look at that. Again, Michael Saylor with MicroStrategy, they bought an additional $10 million worth of Bitcoin at $43,663. So they are just buying these dips and accumulating while other people are selling. All the predictions are still here for this year to become a phenomenal year for the price of Bitcoin. We're seeing price targets of anywhere between $150,000 and $500,000. You can see here, ARK Investments' Cathie Wood believes Bitcoin will rally to $500,000 and says the mining sector is increasingly embracing renewable energy. Then we have Max Kaiser saying, back in 2011, I was preaching Bitcoin in Prague. Nothing has changed. $220,000 in 2021 still in play. I've run through a few of these price targets. I'm not going to go through all of them. We have the stock to flow model, plan B, $100 trillion. $288,000 price target. We have Max Ride from Contrarian Dude saying anywhere between $300,000 and $500,000 for Bitcoin this cycle, this year. Then we have all these predictions of in the say 200 to 500k range, and based on everything I've just shown you here with the cycles, with the sell-off now especially, that has basically cleared all the euphoria, reset everything, wiped out all the leverage players, and basically caused a huge drop in interest in crypto and Bitcoin right now. I mean, a lot of people who got hurt right now, all those newbies who got out and who panic sold, there's probably going to be some months of sideways, start accumulating, and hopefully towards the end of the year, we are going to get that blow off top and be much, much higher. And just before wrapping this up, there's so much positive news, so much VC money being invested into startups, so many banks involved, PayPal is involved, billionaires, funds. Look at this, Nebraska to become second US state to formalize a charter for Bitcoin-centric banks behind Wyoming, right? So this stuff is happening, this is moving forward, and when the price dips and crashes like this, fundamentally nothing changes, the progress is still moving forward, and the future, in my opinion, is still digital assets and cryptocurrencies, and I think it's going to get much, much bigger than where it is now. So keep the big picture in mind. When in doubt, zoom out. Always manage your risk. Of course, that is the most important thing. Do not overextend. Do not risk what you can't afford to lose. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Smash the notification bell so you do get updates, because I will continue to update you here, which is absolutely for free, by the way. Follow me on Instagram. Link will be in the description below too. For the rest, leave a comment. What do you think, guys? What do you think? Is Bitcoin over? Are we in a bear market? Or is this just a flush out? Are we going to continue much higher? And are we still going to get a blow off phase at the end of the year? I would love to hear what you think. Leave a comment below, smash the like button, subscribe, share, get on my email list, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.